for people to join. Judo RCB match. Could be. You guys are not watching. How many RCB fans are here? Okay. So any predictions? Who is going to win today? RCB for sure. That match is happening in Chennai. Isala Cup Namade. How many years you're gonna tell the same dialogue, man? We win. Hopefully this time. I still see their bowling attack is pretty weak. Let's see. I'm a Chennai fan. I'm from Tamil Nadu. Even Chennai also this time. I see the middle order is not so great. Let's see. Right. So probably like let's have a short session today, since because you guys are watching match. Okay, so I think in the last class we talked about last two classes we talked about virtual machines in AWS, how you can create virtual machines. Especially we talked about how to create a Linux virtual machine and how to create a Windows virtual machine. And in the real time, if in case your organization is predominantly like hosting your applications in virtual machine, that's the same process what we saw, uh, which every company would follow. Now we are going to go one step further and we are going to see how to configure auto scaling group. Okay, so before we do that hands-on, we wanted to understand what is auto scaling group, right? So we will try to understand auto scaling group today, and then hands-on probably like we'll do in the next class, maybe tomorrow. Okay, so let me share my screen. Okay, so first of all, what is auto scaling group? That we need to understand. Okay, so before we understand auto scaling group, we need to understand the use case, why we need auto scaling group, auto scaling first of all. Okay, so in the previous classes, we talked about creating virtual machines. Let's assume that I'm creating a virtual machine, a machine number 1, and let's say it's a Linux virtual machine. Okay, and this is a Linux virtual machine. And in this virtual machine, my application is running, right? So my application is running, and I configured this machine with a configuration of T2 medium, which is gonna be with 2-core CPU and 4 GB RAM. Okay. Now assume that this machine is uh, used by 2 people. Let's say 2 developers are using this machine. They are running their code and they are just uh, testing their code, whatever. The machine is installed with Java application. Let's take Java as an example, Java application, and developers are deploying their code and they are testing it. Okay, currently 2 people are using it. For example, in now let's assume that uh, another 2 people joined in developers team. So now 4 people are there in the development team. Now earlier only 2 people were part of development team, so they both were using this machine to test their code. But now the development team become bigger. Now it's 4-member team. Now, since because it is 4-member team, the same machine everybody is trying to use. But the problem here now, if all the 4 people wanted to use the same machine, if they are trying to test something in the machine, the amount of CPU and memory what we have assigned to this machine might not be sufficient, because imagine 4 people are like parallelly working on this machine, right? So, and each people will be doing different activities, right? So eventually the resource consumption will be high, right? So like for example, in your laptop you have 8 GB of RAM, and you are running like for example like 8 applications, like you are running Google Chrome, you're running let's say you're running Hotstar, and you're running uh, Firefox, and you're running Skype, you're running Teams application. So you're running 8 different applications, which is fine. Each application, let's say it consumes 1 GB of RAM. Now, when you go beyond that, when you try to run like let's say 15 applications in your laptop, then your laptop might start to struggle, right? So because your laptop itself is 8 GB configuration where you're trying to run 15 to 20 applications, and your hardware is not sufficient to run such amount of application. The same thing applies here. Like the number of people who are using this machine is getting increased, due to which the resource consumption also is increasing. Now what will happen in this case? Now probably you as a DevOps engineer, you will try to understand, okay, so your team is I mean your development team is trying to use the machine, but it is keep on getting it's pretty slow in terms of performance, and they are literally struggling to use this machine. So they might come and complain to you that the machine is pretty slow, you're not able to do anything. So what you will do, you will go ahead and upgrade the machine, right? So or uh, you will try to do some troubleshooting to see why it is consuming, and if you understand that it is really there is a demand for more resource, what you will do, you will go ahead and upgrade the machine from T2 medium to large or extra large, depends on the demand. Okay, so now in this case there is a manual intervention required, right? So they are going to come back to you and they are going to say, we are unable to use this machine because of this performance issues. Can you please help us? Now you're going to log in into the console and you're going to upgrade the machine from certain configuration to the next set of configuration. But in this case, how we can automate this process? Okay, so I don't want my development team to rely on me, or I don't want DevOps team to be a blocker for my development team. Okay, so what can I do? Okay, so how can I unblock them? How can I make their development experience seamless, right? So this is where this sort of auto scaling related features come into picture. Okay, so where I can use this future and I can make the process much more easier. So how I'm going to do, so in this scenario, I have one machine. So I'm going to have same sort of configuration. Let's say I have one machine and it's a Linux machine. But now directly, instead of directly deploying this machine, I'm going to put this machine in form of auto scaling group. Imagine this is more like a wrapper. I'm just building like a wrapper, and inside that I'm running one machine. Now the same thing applies here. Two developers are using this machine. Okay, but in my auto scaling group, I'm just setting some configurations. Like if the CPU utilization goes beyond certain level, for example, my CPU and memory utilization goes beyond 80% in the current machine, automatically scale up the machine. When I say scale up, it is not going to do the resource scale up. It is going to add additional machine into the same auto scaling group. Okay, so now let's say, for example, the spike, the the need of this machine is there for like, let's say, for example, uh, in the daytime, like everybody in the daytime, they come to office or they log in from their home and they try to utilize the machine. In the daytime, the requirement of the machine will be higher. So that time auto scaling group, since that the requirement is higher and the CPU and memory utilization goes beyond 80%, it will automatically deploy a machine. But at the odd hours, at the night time, what will happen? Nobody logs into the machine, right? So nobody try to use this machine because no activity around. So the utilization of the machine itself will be very less. The memory and CPU utilization will be very less in this case. So what autoscaling group will do, it will go ahead and delete the newly created machine. So this machine will be deleted because nobody is using the machine. The primary default machine itself is pretty much unused. For example, only 20% of usage is there with the resources. Now 20% of usage, one machine is enough. Okay, so it will automatically go and delete the machine and it will keep the one machine running. And tomorrow everybody logs in into your work, and again everybody is starting to consume the machine. So and the utilization goes up. Auto scaling group sense that and automatically increase the number of machine. So what are we achieving here? First thing is we are getting rid of human intervention. No human intervention here. In the first scenario, development team might need to raise a support request to you. I mean, whatever medium you guys are communicating. So in that medium, they are going to reach out to you. They might reach out to you in chat, or if you have a process of like creating a task for DevOps team to fix the issue, whatever it is, they're going to do. And then you're going to look into it and you just manually log in into the machine and whatever, and you're going to upgrade the machine. Now, in the first option, in the second option, we are going to get rid of this human intervention. So no human intervention is required. It automatically scales up the machine when on demand when required. And the second option is, the second advantage what we are getting is we are also uh, saving the money. Uh, like when we are using auto scaling feature, it scales up the machine. But in the same way, it also scale down the machine when it is not required, right? So for example, in this scenario, I go and upgrade the machine from T2 medium to T2 large. Henceforth, for example, I'm paying $2 for this machine. Now, once I upgraded, I'm going to pay $4 to this machine. And this is going to be always like henceforth for this machine, I always need to pay $4. But in this case, for this machine, I'm paying $2. And on demand, the new machine is created. For this new machine, additional $2. Totally, I'm going to pay $4 on the daytime. But at the night time, the machine will be automatically deleted because nobody's using the machine. And again, I'll be paying only $2 for only for this machine. I'm not paying for the extra machine. But in this case, once the machine is upgraded, if I wanted to downgrade the machine, again manual intervention is required. and I can't keep doing this like daytime. I want to increase the machine. At the night time, I want to decrease the machine. So this is not something which is feasible. Like we can't always keep track of each changes what we are doing, and then we are like modifying it, which is not possible, right? But whereas here auto scaling group take care of it. When there is a demand, it increases the machine. When there is no demand, it decreases the machine. And also we are effectively saving cost here. And also in the first scenario, other thing, in the first scenario, if in case you wanted to upgrade the machine, you wanted to reboot the machine, right? It's not pretty easy. Like upgrade is not straightforward. Whenever you upgrade a machine, you need to restart the machine. Then only the upgradation will be considered. It's not like on the fly. When the machine is live, you can upgrade the machine, right? Which is not possible. So in the second option, you're not touching the existing machine. The existing machine runs with the same configuration, and you're not doing anything to it, and you're just simply adding a new machine in the auto scaling group to serve the new incoming traffic. So there is no downtime here. But in the first scenario, engineer need to go and upgrade the machine and then reboot the machine. But in the second scenario, since because there is no any manual intervention here, the new machine is newly added. No, we are not updating anything in the existing machine. Simply new machine will be added, and my existing machine runs with the same configuration. A new machine also comes up with the same configuration, right? So in this scenario, we can like eliminating the downtime totally. So my developers will always have a machine to work on. But in this case, I wanted to reboot the machine whenever I wanted to upgrade. At the time of rebooting, they might not be able to access the machine. Or if the machine is pretty critical, let's say for example, it's a production machine sort of thing, then you need to do it at the weekends, right? So you can't do it in the daytime because it might impact the customers. So you need to always find a scheduled maintenance, and you need to do it at the weekends. So all these things are pretty much complicated in the first option. Now bringing in the new feature, we always make this process much more easier. Any questions here? So auto scaling group is used heavily in the real time. If in case you're dealing with a virtual machine sort of infrastructure, auto scaling group is heavily used. And auto scaling group functionality is not only available in virtual machine sort of concept, it is also available in Kubernetes. Okay, if you're dealing with a container based environment, still Kubernetes provides a default auto scaling mechanism. You might have, I mean, if you guys already went through the Kubernetes training, you might have learned about horizontal pod autoscaler and vertical pod autoscaler, right? So it helps you to scale up the pods. The same fashion, so this is more on virtual machine side. So if you're dealing with a container based environment, probably you will be using Kubernetes auto scaling mechanisms. Okay, so this is all about auto scaling. Okay, so auto scaling predominantly helps you to scale up the machine and scale down the machine when there is no uh, any real use case. And also it helps you to avoid human intervention, and it helps you to reduce the cost when the machine is not really in use. Okay, and it eliminates that machine and make sure and high availability. Okay, that is important thing. Your machine will be always highly available. uh, there wouldn't be any downtime involved in reconfiguring the machine when there is a requirement. In the first option, you when you reconfigure, eventually you need to reboot the machine. But here you're not reconfiguring anything. It's just a machine, adding up a new machine where you're not disturbing the existing machine.
Uh, so this auto scaling is also applicable for light sail servers.
Auto scaling is available for light scale also. Light sail also. Light sail is something. Okay, it's a good question, but personally, I haven't used that one. But I'm not sure if light sail has auto scaling group. Let's check it out. Okay, so for people who don't know light sail, it's similar to virtual machine concept, but in EC2 functionality, you will be managing the virtual machine. But here, the virtual machine will be it's kind of a serverless method, but I don't know if they provide auto scaling functionality. As far as I see, I don't see that. Yeah, where you can see what service you want. For example, you want WordPress and you just launch it, and your machine will be created with that application, and it's not free of cost. Okay, so you need to be aware of it, and you can see the monthly cost. So here the machine will be deployed and with the application what you select. Okay, but in the EC2 you just deploy only the operating system, where you need to go and install your application by yourself, but they have some default applications available here which you can go ahead and use it, or if you want only operating system you can also go ahead and do that. But here I think mostly the machine will be managed by AWS itself, so it's not something like if in case you want to upgrade the machine on all these things, I don't think so you will have that option. But I don't see any auto scaling group available for lights say.
Okay.
So the next probably like the other question what you might think of is like when you will use light sail and when you will use EC2. Okay, so for example, you are doing some POC, proof of concept, right? So you just want a machine quickly uh, with the application installed already on top of it, and um it's a temporary machine where you just wanted to quickly test something, and then you wanted to just scrap it. You don't want to spend so much time on building installing the application on top of it. So in such kind of scenarios, light sail might be helpful. But if you wanted to have a long running machine, like you want this machine to be always running, and you need to have a lot of control on the machine, like upgrading the machine or logging into the shell of the machine and do something on that. So if you wanted to have such kind of things, and also where you wanted to have this machine always running in your uh, infrastructure in your AWS account, and also you wanted to save cost, you have seen that in light sale. So when you go with application model, like the cost is pretty high, like $7 or something like that, but when you run the EC2 you might not paying that much, so it will be cost effective, right? So and light sale is also similar to virtual machine only. Another thing, light sale also provides container based solution. So you might have seen, if you want simply a container, you can still deploy a container, not only instance, you can see containers and create a container service, and you can just select your uh, uh, like how many nodes you want, and it just creates a container. But nobody use this as far as I know. People use either ECS or EKS for containers, and they use EC2 for virtual machine. So this is a light cell is more like a temporary based machines. If you want quickly something you want to test, and you just move on. Okay, so that's about autoscaling. So autoscaling has another concept called launch template. Okay, so what is launch template? So launch template is more like uh, a skeleton of your autoscaling group. Like for example, in this concept, I talked about a new machine. New machine will be automatically provisioned, but the new machine will be provisioned without human intervention. But who is going to define the configuration of that new machine? Like what size the machine should be, what operating system it should have, and what security group should be attached to that machine. All this information, who is going to decide? That is going to be decided in this launch template. So in the launch template, we put all this information. Whenever a new machine is going to get deployed, automatically the machine configuration should be the one what we define in the launch template. In the launch template, we are going to say the size of the machine, what operating system it should use, and which security group it should be part of. All these informations we just put it into the launch template and we map it with auto scaling group. Whenever a new machine will automatically getting provision, it will use that launch template and it will provision your new machine. And you can modify the launch template whenever you want. For example, you are currently dealing with T2 medium machine, and anytime it provision T2 medium machine, but still it is not sufficient for you. Now you can go and upgrade your launch template to T2 large or something. After upgrading to your auto scaling group, you can match your new launch template. Further to that, any new machine, whatever it is getting created, it will get created with a new configuration, what you mentioned in your launch template. Okay, so in the launch template, you are just defining the configuration of your virtual machine, and it is going to use that configuration for any new machine which is going to create into the auto scaling group. Okay, so in our practical session, what we are going to do, we are going to see how to create an launch template, and then how to create an auto scaling group, and how to map that launch template to the auto scaling group. And if in case you are upgrading the launch template, how you are going to map the newer version to your auto scaling group. Okay, so these are the things we are going to see in the hands-on session, which is already there. Probably we'll see that tomorrow, where we are going to see all the things what I mentioned now. So we are going to first create a launch template, and then we are going to see the create the auto scaling group and map the launch template, and then we are going to see how to upgrade the launch template and map it with auto scaling group, and also how to scale up the machines, how to scale down the machines. Okay, all these things probably we'll see in our hands-on session. Okay, so I hope you guys would have got a fair idea about auto scaling group. Okay, so when we go and directly do create our machines through auto scaling group, you will get much more idea. But remember one thing, uh, auto scaling group is not a free of cost. Okay, so it might uh, incur some charges. So we you guys need to be cautious about it. So I am using auto scaling group, and I'll be paying bills accordingly. But if in case you are not ready to pay any bills, so probably you need to be cautious about that before creating. Or if in case you have plans to dormant your AWS account post after whatever you're doing, then you can try to do that.
Sir, should we create that auto scaling group of two different region virtual machines?
Okay, so that's a good question. So no, auto scaling group predominantly works only on the region wise. Okay, it's not a global component, so you can't create an auto scaling group and add uh, two machines from two different availability zones. Okay, so I mean two machines from two different regions. You can do it between auto scaling group. For example, you are in Mumbai region. In Mumbai region, you can create machine in zone A and you can create machine in zone B, and you can create third machine in zone C. So you can split your machine into multiple availability zones, but you can't split your machine into multiple regions. Like you wanted one machine running in Mumbai region, you wanted one machine running in Singapore region. That is not possible. Okay, so it will not allow you to have multiple machines running in a single auto scaling group from different regions, but different availability zone is something which is possible. If in case in Mumbai zone A is going down, still your machine will be running from zone B. So auto scaling high availability can be achieved with help of spanning the machines between multiple availability zone, not between regions. Okay, did I answer your question?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay.
So how is the traffic managed between two machines?
That's where load balancer come into picture. Okay, so we are going to see that also. I didn't talk about that part right now because right next to that we are going to see load balancer. So that is what it is going to help us to, like, when I said two people are logging into the machine, and additionally next two people are going to log in into the machine, how the traffic is going to be distributed across all your underlying machines, that is not something handled by auto scaling group, that is handled by load balancer. That I will explain you when we talk about load balancer. So we are going to build auto scaling group. On top of it, we are going to build load balancer, and load balancer is going to take care of distributing the traffic between all the machines.
Okay. Like load balancer and proxy, are they all like in the same this one or different?
Yeah, I'll explain about that probably in the load balancer. So many people have this question, the difference between load balancer and proxy. Okay, so that will be pretty much confusing, but I'll explain about what is proxy and what is load balancer. What's the difference? There is a thin difference between proxy and load balancer, which people often get confused. So in the load balancer, when we go through about load balancer, I will also explain about proxy. So
Okay.
we have forward proxy, we have reverse proxy. What is those things and how it is helpful when we will be using proxy. So I will explain those.
Okay.
Okay, so since because we have less participants, probably we'll see the hands-on tomorrow so that everybody would get benefited. So people who are not joined the class, so like I'll inform uh, Vikalti to ask them to watch the recording so that they will have fair idea about auto scaling group. So probably tomorrow we'll do the hands-on of auto scaling group. So this is very important, guys, and the current auto scaling group hands-on and as well as load balancer hands-on. Those two are very important because this is the one which is going to tie up all these things together, like the virtual machine, auto scaling group, load balancer. That's why I'm just having it in a sequential way. You see that first we talked about EC2, then we are talking about auto scaling group, then we are talking about load balancer because everything is interlinked. All right, so I'll stop my screen share now. So if you have any questions on today's topic or previous topic, let me know, or otherwise we can wind up today and we can meet tomorrow for hands-on of auto scaling. You. Okay, see you guys. Enjoy watching match, Shashank. Bye.